Move over, Thor, because we have a new hero coming to town. If you've been keeping your nose to the ground, you may have just noticed that a new film is coming to a theater near you called Mortal. Just from the trailer alone, I'm picking up a lot of Thor vibes from this new electrifying protagonist. So it got me thinking, how similar will our new hero be to Thor? Directed by Norwegian director André Øvredal, the film is heavily based on Norse mythology. So there are lots of possibilities to look at, such as the story, powers, and even villains we may see. Let's take a look. Although we don't know much about our new hero, from the trailer we got a good sense of the world and some of the trials he may be facing. This story is an origin story following our hero, who I'm going to call Mortal for the sake of context. He's in some trouble after an altercation, an accidental end to another young man. However, in the midst of this, Mortal has discovered new powers, ones he can't really control, and sets out on a journey on the run from the police, who are hell-bent on serving justice. Sounds exciting, and after watching the trailer, I have some questions, especially when thinking about our favorite Asgardian. Before getting to Thor, a few things to note from the trailer. 1. Mortal looks like he's struggling with some stuff. In one scene, we see our protagonist ganged up on and possibly being bullied. Along with that, he looks a little rough around the edges and also struggles with a bit of anger. So the first question I had is, what's Mortal's backstory? Did he have a rough upbringing? Is he on his own right now? And if he is, why is that? 3 questions led me to a bigger question. Who are his parents?
Who is your daddy? And what does he do?
And how did he get these powers that apparently came out of nowhere? Again, this film is heavily based on Norse mythology, and if we're thinking about Thor and looking at Mortal as a reimagining of Thor, there's only one man you can be related to in order to gain powers like these. You guessed it, Odin. Is Odin Mortal's father? It's possible. Although it's not common in Norse mythology, maybe we have an Aquaman situation where a god meets a mortal woman, gets her pregnant, but then has to leave. Or maybe the story is more similar to Thor's than we thought. Is it possible that, like Thor, our main hero was banished to Earth, but as a baby? If this is the case, then our new hero is more similar to Thor beyond the powers to control lightning. A reason I brought up Mortal's disheveled look and societal struggles is because to me it looks like a classic case of a man who's struggling to belong and find his place in the world. And that makes perfect sense because if he is Odin's son, then he doesn't. He's not a mortal, and this makes me think of Thor's origin story in the MCU. Thor was banished to Earth after being deemed unworthy, and let me tell you, this man was way out of his element. He's used to the royal treatment, but now on Earth, he has to learn to adapt a normal human lifestyle. There aren't any maids to bring him another. There aren't any horses to ride in a battle. There are cars, manners, and everyday human things that Thor has to adapt to. And the same is going on for our new hero, except our new hero isn't human. He's of Asgard, and that's the reason why he struggled to acclimate to Earth's societal ways. Honestly, it's very possible that our new hero is the god of thunder himself. It's not a coincidence that Mortal has the exact same powers as Thor has. So if he really is Thor, why was he banished to Earth? We're going to get a bit of this later, so stick around, but I do think these ideas will be a huge plot point of the film. We'll watch Mortal not only learn to control his newfound powers, but also watch him learn his true heritage and grow into his own. Speaking of powers, if Mortal is truly Asgardian, then there are really some cool things he should be looking forward to. When we think about Thor, what comes to mind? That he's a macho man with very nice hair? Maybe. But mostly we think about all the cool powers he has, like his ability to manipulate lightning and the surrounding weather. Not only can he make lightning rain down from the heavens, shoot it from his hammer Mjolnir, and make it disperse around him on impact, but we've also seen Thor pretty much surround his body in lightning and discharge it with his punches or kicks. If you're not knocked out early, the shock will definitely make sure of it. Thinking about running away? Well, then you better think twice, because with the same lightning, Thor can rope you back in and then throw you away like you were yesterday's lunch. Then there's his strength. Imagine how strong you'd have to be to throw Stormbreaker through a beam coming directly from a completed Infinity Gauntlet straight into Thanos' chest. Crazy strong. This dude staggered the Hulk with only his punches and sent him flying with a swing of Mjolnir. Thor can take a hit too. Time after time we've seen Thor take blasts from point-blank range, fall from insane heights, and come out with 0 damage. He also has the ability to fly or simulate flight using the force generated with the immense swings of Mjolnir. Has a crazy amount of speed, leaping ability, and superhuman stamina, agility, and reflexes. So if our new hero is Asgardian, or even Thor himself, we can only imagine what he'll be capable of once he learns to control his powers. In Mortal's current state, He can somewhat control lightning, as well as burn the surfaces of what he touches. He also has some amount of weather control and the ability to generate lightning from those storms. However, unlike Thor, who has had these powers for eons, our new hero has just gotten these powers, or he has had them for a while now and has kept them hidden. I'm not exactly sure based on his touch me and you'll burn line. On top of that, it seems like these powers become active only through anger, pain, or raw emotion. Which is interesting because acting on emotion is Thor's entire MO. However, it seems like these powers in his current state actually hurts him. We've seen plenty of times where Thor, damaged or even close to passing to the afterlife, heals and rejuvenates himself using the power of Mjolnir and Stormbreaker. Thor took on the full power of a reignited star for crying out loud, and once he got Stormbreaker in his hand, he was on the battlefield calling for Thanos' head.
Bring me Thanos!
So could Mortal do this too? It looks like yes, because in the trailer, once calm and collected, he's able to use his powers to bring a young boy back to life, and I bet you, with even more time and practice, Mortal could use these powers to heal the wounds across his body, or prevent them from happening at all. One thing I am curious about is if we'll see an appearance from Mjolnir, which actually exists in Norse mythology. Just like in the MCU, the actual Mjolnir acts like a boomerang and can channel lightning. Before Thor realized he didn't need Mjolnir to use his powers, the hammer actually acted as the source for them, or at least his way to control them better. So the same could be the case for Mortal. We just need Odin to deem him worthy, and then we'll have the hero we know and love. That's if Odin does deem him worthy. We've talked about the story, we've talked about the powers our new hero could gain. Now I want to talk about possible villains, because every hero needs a villain, or in this case, something to get the police off Mortal's back. Looking throughout Norse mythology, there are countless gods and goddesses that could act as the arch-nemesis to Mortal's newfound heroism. However, if Mortal is Thor, then I think there's only one man or god suitable to take on that mantle. Not Loki, but Odin himself, and here's why. If Mortal is indeed Odin's son, we're running with the idea that our hero was banished from Asgard. Then what was that reason? Maybe a possible power grab? Thor is Odin's firstborn, so without an heir, Odin could stay in power. Whatever the reason may be, I think he would want to keep that story locked away, and Odin isn't against doing this. The exact scenario happened in Thor Ragnarok with Hela, who was imprisoned for a millennia only to be released after his death. There were no records of her existence because Odin made it that way. He wanted no one to know of his tyrannical past and his mistakes. So in this case, Odin is definitely a possibility, and even more so if we look at who Odin was in Norse mythology. Considered a war god, Odin was not one to mess with. He wasn't someone who cared about the reason behind any fight or even its outcome, only the raw chaos that came with it. He wanted what he wanted and he took what he wanted. Sounds awfully like the Odin Hela grew up with. Now, I'm unsure what Saban Films is planning regarding sequels, but if Mortal was to be made into a trilogy or even more films, then maybe Odin is our big bad, and there will be a series of villains that our protagonist is going to have to face in the meantime. If you're looking at the MCU Thor for inspiration, then we have some options to consider. Maybe Hela herself, or in Norse mythology, Hel, who is a goddess who rules over the underworld. Just like her MCU counterpart, she is greedy and cruel to everyone, no matter if you're living or dead. And if she's raising the dead, well, that will be a formidable feat for Mortal to overcome. Another option could be the Dark Elves of Svartalfheim, who we saw make appearance in Thor the Dark World, led by Malekith the Accursed, who is not exactly part of Norse mythology. However, this probably won't be the case because in Norse mythology, dark refers less to their appearance, to more to dark and wet caves they lived in. In actuality, these dark elves are dwarves, and the ones who made Mjolnir, so they're not evil at all. So maybe the Destroyer, who nearly ended Thor's story before it even started. This enchanted suit of armor doesn't exactly exist in Norse mythology, but the power and skill to do so does. Whatever and whoever it may be, god, goddess, or mystical creature, I believe they will be following Odin's will to keep whatever reason Odin has for banishing Mortal. And even Mortal himself as a secret. What do you think that secret is? Let us know in the comments down below. Overall, I'm very excited about this film because while I loved Thor, the idea of a retelling of this popular tale while staying true to Norse mythology is so cool, and I love a good hero story as they overcome all the odds and circumstances that are set in front of them. So look out, Thor, it might be time to pass Mjolnir to the true God of Thunder. Now I want to know what you think. Are you excited about the possible retelling of our favorite Norse god's tale? Let us know what you think in the comments, and be sure to like, subscribe, and slap the notification bell so you never miss a video from us here at CBR.